Welcome everyone to the Flower Files podcast sponsored by Wildly Native Flower Farm. Here everyone is welcome to talk with fellow flower lovers, including real perspectives from the farm, the flowers, and me, the florist.
From the messy day-to-day operations down to the details and even business perspectives, this podcast has a little bit of everything to keep it real. We know that life can get crazy and we don't always have the time to spend on what we love, so we are here to help you take a little time to indulge in nature. I'm Liza Getz.
I'm Lizzie Frey, and we are the team that makes this podcast. Every once in a while we have a couple guests, this business thing, and what we are working with is called life.
Join us as we walk you through how to think outside the box, talk from the farmer's perspective, have honest conversations about florals, and how to run, well, life. So listen in.
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, in the podcast section, and any of your other podcast platforms. You can also find us online at wildlynativeflowerfarm.com, and in an easy way, you can look in the show notes, and all of the information will be right there for easy access for you guys.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Flower Files, where we keep it real about life, blooms, and business, because that's what we're here for. I'm your host, Liza, here from Wildly Native Flower Farm, and today we're going to get cozy with something a little uncomfortable for most of us, and it's usually sometimes something that people love to hate, and that's the subject of money. That's right. Today's episode is called Budget Besties because whether you're running a flower farm, a wedding business, creative side hustle, whatever you're doing, your budget should be your best friend and not your biggest anxiety. And I'm so excited to have my guests here today. I have the Budget Besties with me. You guys want to tell us a little bit about you and how you got started and why money isn't scary for you?
Well, thank you for having us. We're so excited to be on here to talk about the B word.
Yeah, I'm Shayna.
And I'm Vanessa.
Yes, and hopefully that will make a difference as you're listening in. But we are excited, like Vanessa said, to talk about the B word, which is budgets. We think it's going to be a fun conversation, but we like you said, a lot of people feel a certain kind of way when you bring up money or certainly budgeting, but we're hopefully going to change that around today.
Yeah. So how we got started is we first came together in 2019 to become business partners, and we started teaching Dave Ramsey's FPU class, which is his Financial Peace University, and it just gave us an insight of how people are dealing with money and just kind of getting our feet wet and in our financial coach journey. And we realized that one of the parts of the program that was really missing was building a budget. It was kind of expected when we're going through it that they knew how to budget, but we quickly realized that they did not know how, and we really needed to help walk them through that. And so we kind of honed in on helping them how to manage their money, how to build a system, how to build a budget system. And I think that that's very different than what is out there today. It's about budget templates, it's about fixed and variable needs, it's about needs and wants, it's about cookie cutter systems, 10, 20, 30. There's a lot that you can hear about with budgets, and we wanted to change the mindset, change the vocabulary around that.
It's so intimidating because people start throwing all of these words and acronyms and all of these things that you're supposed to, well, you should set it up this way. And then you talk to somebody else and they're like, no, you should do this and you should have it formulated. And then you get spreadsheets and I'm like, that doesn't even fit half of what we do. It's overwhelming. It's frustrating. It's embarrassing. And then as a small business person, a lot of the times everybody's like, oh, that's great. You've got it all figured out. And really we're the ones with like the blankets over our heads going, I just really want to do this because I love doing this. And in our case, we love flowers. And I'll be honest.
Honestly, Liza is like the opposite of a spreadsheet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're, so that's even worse for you than most businesses probably.
Put me on a tractor, let me go weed. I'm fine. And make me sit down and I have to do a budget. And I'm going, can I go to the bathroom now?
Like literally anything else.
You're like, what's next?
Yeah.
What do I have to do?
Yeah. I'm like,
Well,
I'll budget for seeds.
Yes. Well, and one of the things that we really wanted was for you to be able to focus on your life and what's important for you. So our system, you attract who you are. So 90% of our clients are entrepreneurs as well. So we do their business budgets and their personal budget, and our system works for both. And it's exciting to be able to implement that with business owners, especially because they can come up with a system, come up with their numbers, come up with their goals, and we implement a system that is simple, it's separated, and it's automatic, right? So we want you to have a system in your business where you kind of set it up and then you just kind of flow along with it. And all of your automatic transfers are happening and everything is just kind of going. And while you're focusing on what's important, and in your case, tractoring and flowers.
And weddings and people and just time for phone calls. I want that personal connection with people. And I feel like as women, it's also sometimes intimidating. I feel like many times money is talked about by men and women approach it differently. How have you seen women conversations different than conversations with, big scary business men in suits kind of perspective? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, it really does. And honestly, we hopefully speak to women. That's kind of why like Vanessa said, we kind of got into this, because the whole space is full of words like you said, and like Vanessa said, fixed and variable expenses, and like these weird charts and stuff that, like, I don't want to do anything like that. No. We want it to be as simple as possible. Men, I have found, see if you agree with this, Vanessa, it's interesting. All of my men clients, not all of mine, that's not fair. A lot of them want it to be more complicated than it needs to be, because they want to like do all of this like words and all of these methods, and they want to think about how much equity they have in their home and like the percentage and like, it's really doesn't need to be all that complicated. And women are attracted to what we're doing here because they want it to be as simple and as hands-free as possible. Like you said, like, let me get in there, let me do it. And then I would really like to spend my time doing literally anything else.
Yeah. Well, and I think what we see is that what they've been told is that it has to be more complicated, or it should be more complicated. When you think about getting healthy, people think, oh, maybe I have to weigh myself every day, and then I have to count my macros, and I have to go to the gym, and I also have to be walking, and I also have to make sure I'm not doing this and that. There's, they think that it's more complicated, but the reality is it's actually pretty simple, and budgeting is no different than that. It is really just setting up something that you're excited about, that matches your life, your goals, your vision, and it can be automatic. And again, we don't do just a budget template. Our whole thing is a budget system, and that's what we feel like has been missing. You can put words and numbers and call it on paper and call it a budget, but what are you going to do after that? After you make the budget, what are you doing? And our entire system helps you set that up.
I think that's what attracted me to talking with you guys, is the fact that it's so real world. I feel like your system and what you're working with different businesses and different people makes it something that's not confusing, and it feels like something that makes sense. Let's be honest, as women, we're multitaskers. We're dinnering and we're running a business or a job or whatever it is, and the kids and the phone and the dog and the husband and everything else are kind of all at us. Where do you start?
Hold on, I'm just reliving what just happened. It's like I feel that in my soul so much. And I think that's why people they don't want to talk about the B word, because it's just another thing on the to-do list. But not only that, just like being a mom, just like starting a business, it doesn't come with a manual. So I know in my brain I have to commit. I think I have to commit all of this time and energy to doing this, and then I'm just going to say no, thank you, because all of these other things are calling for my attention. But what we have figured out is, if you use our system, and Vanessa will tell you where to start to actually answer your question, but if you use our system, then you don't have to think about it every day. You don't have to, you can put your energy and mind to it one time, and then it will run itself. You will be able to wake up in the morning and you'll have money for gas and groceries. You'll have money for set aside for going out to eat. You'll have money set aside in the wedding bucket for your daughter that you're setting aside, and all your bills will be paid, and you're just done. You don't have to do anything, because like you said, you don't have time to do anything.
Yeah, and the first step in setting all that up is looking at everything on one paper, and that's the first step for us. We want you to make it simple. We want you to set your budget up on one sheet of paper that says all of the income that's coming in minus everything that's going out. And if you can see it all together in one place, it's not going to be super scary. Our budget it's teal and pink, and it's pretty and it's airy, and it just allows you to just not be like not dreading the process, right? I think that's where some people will print out budgets and it's dreadful and it doesn't make sense. They don't understand what they're doing or why they're doing it or what this means. And so in order to be able to just really simplify everything, you have to pull maybe the subscription's coming out of this account, the subscription's coming out of that credit card and all this other stuff. And maybe you have half your income over here and half of it over there. We want all of it in one place to be able to see it as a whole.
On one piece of paper. Yep.
I think that makes it so much easier. And as you said, subscriptions, like, okay, think about TV and Wi-Fi and Netflix and all of the things, to being able to see, like, not just understand, okay, this is what I'm spending, but to understand this is what I'm spending. And to be able to have it set where, okay, how do you address if there's something that's an outlier where you have a vacation and you have to plan for things like that for extra fuel expenses or extra food expenses? How does that budget, how do you guys help people adjust for those pieces?
Yeah, so our that is a great question. Our whole thought process here is we want to take your budget from feeling like a roller coaster to just being nice and steady and consistent every single month. So that's when Vanessa's talking about you're setting up your budget, it's actually going to be the same. Almost everything is going to be the same every month. So you'll have your income, your debt minimums is what we look at, your bills. And I wanted to get back to the subscriptions comment, but I can wait. I'm patient. All of your bills, and then all of your spending is in it. We only have 5 columns in our budget. All of your spending is over there. That's gas and groceries, personal money, restaurant, stuff like that. And then what you're talking about is often what we would put in savings buckets. So these are the things that people say are unexpected, but they're 100% expected. I know I'm going on this trip. I know I have this wedding coming up. I know whatever. And so those are the things that we can set aside a set amount each month, a little bit, so it's not this huge problem in one month. And that is what takes the roller coaster ride out of your budget.
Yeah, we really want you to take a bird's eye view of your life and say, okay, what do I cost in a year? What are my annual bills? What are my monthly bills? How much am I spending each month, whether that's going out to eat, whether that's lunches with girlfriends, groceries, gas? How much do my kids cost me a month? Like, what are the things that they need, right? And then look at, okay, what is Christmas?
Yes.
How much do I spend on Christmas? What is
Birthdays.
What's that birthdays, anniversaries, your pets' annual visits. Like, there's a lot going on that people forget. And Shayna alluded to, it's called unexpected expenses, but we know that they're coming, so they're not really unexpected. I mean, let's just be real. And so when you take all of that and you put it in your budget on a monthly basis, and so that HOA fee that you have to pay every January, well, if you took that number and you divide it by 12 and you say, okay, if I put aside this amount of money every single month, I'm going to be able to pay that bill and not feel stressed about it. Your auto insurance, just things like that. When you put it in your budget on a monthly basis, you can afford it easier. And like Shayna said, it takes the roller coaster out of it. So that way you can have a consistent budget throughout the month. You're consistently putting money aside in those separate accounts, automatic, right? And then you are just now being able to run your business, run your life, and everything is being funded.
I just real quick, Liza, I want to go back to the woman that you were describing that I felt seen, where I don't know if it was me, but she's like cooking dinner and then her husband and then blah, blah, blah. And then I told my kids, I said, I don't think I have ADHD. I have you three. All of you talk to me at the same time.
Yes.
I can't, like, that's not my fault that I can't keep up. But what I was thinking about is when Vanessa's saying that, the HOA, the Christmas, the birthdays, the wedding, the whatever, all of these things that are coming up, I was picturing like, you know how they used to pull out the lotto numbers from that big spinning thing?
Yes.
And like all of those little balls. Like, that's what's happening in your brain.
Yeah.
All of these things that you're trying to remember, but like, and then every once in a while, one of them spits out, and then that's because it's a fire emergency that I have to do, even though it was expected. So the difference with our budget is we want not to stress you out, but to allow you to do all of these fun things, to take not just the monthly bills, but think about all of these things that happen once or twice a year. Let's plan for it and just start setting aside a little money so it's not an emergency, it's not unexpected, and you feel really good, and you always know where the money is coming from. For example, we had a client who went to go get a tire fixed. You know how you can get it fixed? And of course, this has happened to everybody. The man's like, well, you need all 4 new tires. And she's like, oh, okay, well, here's my debit card. Because she had been setting aside because she had worked with us, and he was shocked and appalled. He was like, what do you mean, here's my debit card? Everybody's usually so worried, or they have to get a credit card. And she's like, no, I knew it was coming eventually, so I had been setting aside in my vehicle maintenance savings bucket. Here's the money, let's go.
So what does it look like? Because I understand, like, I personally understand that's how it's supposed to work. I understand I'm supposed to be able to like save and do all of these things. And so in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, do you know how many different individual little checking accounts I would need? Like, like,
Yeah.
how do you do that and then keep track of it all?
Well, I think people get overwhelmed we think people get overwhelmed when everything's happening out of one account. Okay. So when you have one account and a million transactions, you don't know what's pulled, what hasn't pulled, what still needs to pull, what check is pending. Do you have enough money for groceries? What income still has to deposit? I mean, there's a lot of questions running through your mind, especially at the end of the month. Maybe if you run month to month on your stuff, then you don't know what's going on. So that to us is super stressful. What we're suggesting is that you have multiple savings, multiple checking accounts where your savings buckets are saving up for future things, right? Which are your savings accounts. And then your spending accounts or checking accounts, which are what you are using day to day for gas and groceries, dining out, kids, personal money, things like that, right? So the whole picture here is to have a bills account that does nothing but pay bills. And then all of your other accounts are doing what they need to do based on how you've labeled them.
Yeah, and it's actually about categories. So when you think about every time you spend money, like maybe I need a different account. No, we're going to group it all up into categories. So you're going to have one spending account that's your personal, like you're going to go out to coffee with a friend or, whatever it is that you want for fun. You're going to have your gas and groceries. Anything that's gas or groceries comes out of that account. It's one account, one category. There's going to be several things happening in there, but it's just one category, right? And so the accounts are categories. Maybe you have one for eating out if that's one that you want.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't have to be super
like dialed in. Yeah.
But then over there on the savings buckets, it's also categories. It's not every single thing. So we might put all of the traveling and stuff that you do in one account, all of your annual bills, your insurance, your HOA, your car insurance, all of that, I already said that, your car registration, all of that would be one category. So that's one account. So it doesn't end up having to be 100 accounts, right? It's just categories of accounts, which is why we made it this way, Liza, because that's what you do with your hands. When I go spend money at the grocery store, or I go to a restaurant, or I have bills, like we want it to your budget and your bank accounts to match and to match what you do in real life with your money.
Yeah, I think people try to get, as soon as they hear about our system, it's like they try to get nitty gritty and they try to point out like how it can't work. And we will tell you after years of doing this, having those broad categories and having checking accounts for them allows you the freedom to spend. Our budget gives you permission to spend because you're automatically funding these different accounts while your bills are being paid and while your savings accounts are building. And that is really the whole concept. Like imagine all of that happening because you set it up automatically and then you can just go about your day.
It sounds like a dream. It sounds like it literally sounds too big to be true. Wow. What are some of the places that you have seen some of your clients surprised?
Hey there, flower friends. We need to talk about something sweet. Petal Pantry is our new line of floral salts and sugars made from flowers we grow right here at Wildly Native Flower Farm. Think of a pinch of floral sugar on your morning muffin, a sprinkle of floral sugar on your cookies, or a blossom-infused salt to make every weeknight dinner extra fancy. Best part, it's all natural and made with real farm-grown blossoms. Treat your taste buds and get 10% off your first order today at wildlynativeflowerfarm.com with the code FLOWERFILES. Now, let's get back to the show. Woohoo!
Ooh, well, this is our favorite surprise is when we do this. So a lot of people think they have an overspending problem. We think it's actually just a disorganization. Things are much more complicated. We alluded to all those subscriptions and all the PayPals and Venmos. There's so many ways for things to happen with your money. And so a lot of people think they're the problem. They're bad at budgeting, they're bad at math, or they're overspending. We do see that it's a disorganization problem. And what actually ends up happening is when we separate it that way, once you have your spending money and that's non-negotiable, you have your gas and groceries, there's a kid's We usually have a kids account because they're the ones that are going to leech all the money from you usually. So you need to have a plan for that, right? And then you're saving for all the things that you want to do. We like you to be bougie on a budget. We're not saying it's only for emergencies or you're only saving for bills. Let's save for some fun things too, right? When you have all of that and it's no longer those wrecking balls or those lottery numbers in your head just bouncing around chaotically, people naturally start to spend less all on their own. Like, we don't have to do any therapy classes. We don't have to do anything. They just naturally start spending less because they feel more in control.
Well, and they're just more aware. Like, now they know where their money is. They know why it's in that certain account and what they can use it for and what they want to use it for. And it matches their vision, their goals, their dreams. Like, everything is the way that they want it, not what somebody else told them it should look like. And one of the things that we really pride ourselves on is this system is not cookie cutter. It's very unique to every single person, as it should be, because it's your life and your goals, right? And so we just want you to know that being bougie on a budget can mean something different for everyone. For one person, it could be, I want to spend all my time with my business and I want to reinvest everything back in my business because that's what I want to do. Some people, it's facials and massages. Others, it's travel. It doesn't matter what your bougie is. We just want you to be able to fund that life.
That makes so much sense. I feel like we are taught at a young age, we're not supposed to talk about money with other people. But then what happens is we don't, first of all, know how to talk about money when it comes down to it. And then secondly, when we do talk about money, we're uncomfortable and we don't know what to do. And we don't know what's, I don't want to say normal, but there is no normal. Everybody is different and every situation is different. And basically, your household is a business. And I don't think people think of it that way, but you have all of these things and all of this stuff. And, those little munchkins, man, they really are expensive.
Yes, they are very expensive. And also right now we have kids in travel sports. So I also think like we're sports agents or whatever from Jerry Maguire. That's how I feel a little bit. Yeah. And also an Uber. I'm an Uber business.
Uber mom, and we're college scouts.
Yeah, so we just got it all going on. But about talking about money and how you were saying that, and when you were asking earlier about women versus men, there's so much shame on women, and so we'll have women come to talk to us, and they're like you. They have a wildly successful business. They're running their families really well. Like, they're so successful, but they have this shame on them that they don't know how to budget. They should have already learned. And we're just here to tell you with no judgment, absolutely not. Nobody taught you how to do it. It's more complicated than it ever has. The only thing that you have been taught is about a credit score, which is useless to us. That's not helping us actually figure out how to manage our money. So we want to change that conversation. We want to take the shame and the taboo and it's just math, and we put it on a really pretty piece of paper, like that makes it better. It's important,
Yeah, we think that, like Shanna said, it's really just that you're disorganized and nobody taught you, and you just haven't been shown another way.
Right.
And so like we said, we kind of do things different than what the mainstream budget people are doing because it's a whole system. It's not just a piece of paper. And it allows you to set up a system that you can just put into place. And then, like I said, you can just run your life, whether it's your business or your household or your church, or there's so many things that you could be doing.
Yeah. And so when you said that about running your household is like running a business, well, our budget system works very similar for whether you have a house or your personal life and your business. So we want you to get a paycheck ahead no matter what, whether you're on your personal side or your business. We want you to be a month ahead. And we are still going to have all of the income. We're going to look at all of that. We're going to have one account for your bills and your personal and your operating expenses in your business, right? And then we'll have spending. You're going to have spending. You have to buy supplies. You have to do all the things in your spending. And then we still want you to have savings buckets for business, right? Mm-hmm. So it might be different. It might be, some people have continuing education costs. Obviously, we're going to have you saving for taxes. You're still going to have annual bills over in the business. Yay. You might have travel, equipment,
charity,
like whatever. There's still savings buckets. And so it's still going to work the same way. It's still going to be separate and very simple, but separate and automatic.
Yeah, I have a multi-million-dollar lawn care company that I'm working with for now, and I absolutely love them. And we were an entire month ahead, and it took us a minute to get there. And she's so sweet. I love her so much, but she had no idea that it was possible. Mm-hmm. And watching them transform to having to pull money out of their 401k to keep their business afloat, to being an entire month ahead because now that they're just more aware and they know where their money is going, why it's going there. And they have all their goals. It's really fun to watch their business completely transform if you just know what's going on with your money.
Yeah. It's scary to to share that with somebody, but I feel like once you do, it's so empowering because it gives you not that control is empowering, but control is empowering.
Yep. Totally agree. And I think for some reason we get like it's like you said, once people tell us a little bit about their money, all bets are off. Like we're obviously best friends and family now and everything can so sometimes we feel like we become a little bit of marriage counselors, which is fine. We want to speak life over you. And to your point, no one has had these conversations. We don't know how to have these conversations. So we're here, we're happy to guide it and make you feel good as you're doing it. But and you're just not, no one's alone on that. Yeah.
Well, and I was going to say, I think you just need somebody in your corner sometimes. Like sometimes you just feel, even if you're married, if you're the one handling it all, sometimes you feel alone. You can feel totally isolated in it. So to bring somebody else in, especially a third person, a third point of view coming in, who's not emotionally attached to your money, right?
Right.
I think that's important. And somebody who can see it differently, who hasn't been doing it a certain way like you have, because a lot of times you've been running a business a certain way for 20 years, you've been doing your household finances for 20 years, you don't know how to do it differently. You don't know how to look at it any different. And so having something else to look at, having other ideas, other suggestions, and another way can really open the door for some new possibilities.
So where do you start? When you have a brand new client, where do you start and how do you start the whole process with them?
Well, it's interesting, and I'm not sure if you're asking as far as business or personal, but really we start with a personal budget, okay? And we want to, like Vanessa said earlier, we want to get everything on one page. We want to see what is the numbers, because you may have never looked at everything on one page before. There's so many things happening in different accounts or cards or whatever. We want to look at that because we need to know how much you truly cost as a person or as a household, right? And then we can go ahead and do the same thing for your business. How much does your business cost? Can it afford to pay you what your personal budget just said you needed to live? And so we just want to kind of do that. And then once we get all of that figured out, we can set it all up to run automatically so you don't have to do anything with your hands.
Yeah, I think people forget that they need to have a line item in their business budget that funds their personal budget, right? So if you're married, then maybe it's like, okay, what percentage of my business budget needs to fund personal? But you still need to have a line item to pay yourself. So that way, when you're making the bottom line and go, okay, what is the bare minimum that my business needs to make to be able to fund everything? You need to make sure that you're in there too. It's not just regular business expenses, but it's your taxes, it's your profit, it's your materials, it's everything that it costs to run your business in a year. You need to see it so that way you know what your bare minimum bottom line is. And we think that that's really important as business owners to know that number. And so that way it allows you to plan, and it just, how much money you need to bring in every month.
And it helps you hit goals. It's one thing to look at a P&L and to say, okay, this is great. And, these are all the things and all of the lines, but there's some emotion in there as well. Money is emotional. And I don't think people realize that all the time. And, there's little things that you want to do or infrastructure that you have to build, and what do we need and how do we do it better? And I think being able to have that tucked into a budget in terms that actually work, that are approachable, I think that's what sets you guys apart.
Well, I hope that it's approachable, and we agree because it's goals on both ends. So, like I have a client that is, she is an esthetician and she runs her own spa, and she pays herself, between all the households, she pays herself $1,500 a month from her business. But then quarterly, we have goals, right? And every quarter she can give herself a bonus, or pay off debt or whatever. So she knows, like, what do I got going on in my personal life? Is there a goal there that I want to hit monetarily? Or if there's something in my business, like you said, I know my numbers so well, and I can see, okay, if I book 5 more clients this month, I can do blah, 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 or whatever, and just knowing your numbers, it's not scary. The not knowing is scary, but knowing them, you can set goals, like you said, and it's exciting and doable.
Yeah, and we really think that you don't need to be in it more than maybe twice a month, especially if you have a business. So we like to say there's 365 days in a year. We need 12 of those for your personal budget, right? So if you're a business owner, we say you probably need to be in it a little bit more often, so twice a month. But if your personal budget, once you get everything set up, you check in once a month at the end of the month, figure out what has happened in that month, and then set up the upcoming month. You're golden, right? And so you have so much time to be able to do other things in your life, but you do and it doesn't require you a lot of time. You just need to be in it a little bit.
Makes a lot more sense. And it gives you so much more freedom. It gives you so much more time to be able to do all of those other things. I think that is so important. So important. So, if any of our podcast listeners wanted to sign up with you, what is the best way to reach you?
Yeah, that's
Well, I was just going to say that if they want to come and learn some more, we have a ton of free resources over on our podcast, which is Financial Coaching for Women.
Yeah. And, we have, if they want to learn about the budget, we actually have a boot camp coming up. So here's the deal. We know this is what I wanted to tell you. My workout class this morning said, hey, Thanksgiving is still a thing. Don't skip ahead to Christmas, right? And so, but either way for your listeners, like, the holidays are coming. We know it's about to be busy. At the end of the year, after all of that, we have a boot camp, which is perfect because then you can look at what happened and start to make a plan for January. No shame or anything, but we know that that's a good time to start thinking about it. Not now because you're already in the thing.
Nobody has time.
No.
And so if they go to budgetbesties.com/bootcamp, it's a 5-day boot camp. We're going to go more in depth and teach you a lot of this so you can feel like you're getting ready to hit the new year with having this information and getting started with a budget.
Brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Oh my gosh, this is golden. These are conversations that I wish I had had before I had started my own business because I made mistakes and I learned the hard way financially through making those mistakes and trying to figure out, okay, how do I move this around and how do I make this and how do I make these adjustments? And I've learned in my personal life, there's so many lessons that I've learned, and I wish the conversations had been different, and I wish the conversations had been there. So I truly value this.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. But I will tell you, listen, we've all made mistakes. We've all been there. Even with us starting our business off on this system, we didn't have it fully fleshed out yet. So we made a ton of mistakes. Personally, us, our jet journeys were not the way that we are promoting them. And they were very,
we were not bougie on a budget back in the day.
Nope.
No.
And so we did the whole scarcity mindset back then to be able to get where we are. But we realized that our clients don't want to do that. We did not want to do that. Had we known a different way back then, we would have done that, but we didn't. So here we are trying to help people do it differently than we did. So we hope that the information is helpful and it allows them a smoother, more fun, more just enjoyable journey.
So I know this will sound like a crazy tie-in, but so this weekend, our big purple van that we deliver in wouldn't turn on. I have no idea what happened. Something with the battery. It was a thing. But I was like, I know how to jump it. That's not a problem. So I go out with my little battery pack. I open the hood. Took me a minute to find the little lever. We won't talk about that either. But I jump the hood and I do all this stuff and I put the red to the red and I connected the black to the spot on the side that the diagram showed. And I called my son, who is incredibly, he's good mechanical and all that kind of stuff. He always helps me. And he's like, do you have the black one connected correctly? I was like, yes. And he was like, well, try to start it. And it wouldn't start, and it wouldn't start, and it wouldn't start. And he goes, okay, I'll be there in 20 minutes. I was like, okay. So he comes out and he looks and he goes, sometimes when you make a mistake, Mom, that's the best teacher. And I looked at him and I was like, what? I had it connected, but I had it connected on a painted section of metal, and it had to be on direct metal because paint was the insulator and it wasn't allowing to blah, 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 flow and electricity and all of this stuff.
Yeah. Science.
Yeah. So there are so many times where I feel like you have to learn through a mistake, because I can guarantee you I will never connect that wrong again.
Nope.
So I know it's not a direct correlation, but I think without those mistakes, without those times where I had to sit back and go, A and B are not, I don't understand what I did wrong. I need help and I need to talk to somebody. And then I sat there and was like, but who do I talk to that it's safe to talk to? It's so important to be able to have people in your corner. And I think that's what you guys do. And I think it makes such a huge difference. So.
Well, I just want to say how wise your son is. That's such a wise thing to say, and such a sweet way to tell Mom that maybe she didn't get it quite right. I love that. And I think what we all have gotten it wrong, and that's why we're so eager to figure this out, because like you said, it's heavy, it's emotional, and we know that that's not the right way. We know that that's not getting the battery started, right?
No.
But we don't know exactly what we need to do differently, and like that's where we can come in and be that bird's eye view.
Yeah, because we may think that we have it figured out, but again, somebody else coming in and looking at it may be able to say, okay, you have this and this set up, but let's just make a tweak here and it can be that much better. And I think it's okay to feel safe, to be vulnerable and ask those questions. So thank you. Thank you. I appreciate this so very much. I am positive people are going to sign up for your boot camp because that's safe, it's easy, and it's a space where you can ask questions and not feel intimidated.
Yes, it'll just be 5 days of learning something different. Maybe I don't want to say new because obviously I think we all know about finances, but just seeing it in a different way and really, really, truly setting them up for a good 2026.
Yeah, and you might even have fun, guys. It could be fun. You don't know. It could happen.
We always have fun with us.
Oh, absolutely.
We're kind of a lot.
I knew as soon as I signed on, I was like, oh, this is going to be a fun one. So, all right, ladies, thank you so much for taking the time today. I really appreciate it. And listeners, if you guys love this, do all of the things, like, share, comment, and all of that stuff for all of us. But keep growing, and money doesn't grow on trees, as we know, but these ladies will help you figure out how to keep it all growing.